The morning was supposed to be ordinary. The school hallway buzzed with chatter, sneakers squeaking against polished floors, laughter echoing off lockers. But when Malik walked in, the noise seemed to shift, like a sudden chill slicing through summer air. Eyes followed him, whispers rippled. His new backpack, his dark skin, his quiet confidence, all became reasons to stare. A poster on the wall read, "Diversity makes us stronger," but the smirks around him told another story. That morning, Malik didn't know a single moment would soon expose just how fragile that message really was. Gulshaltain. Malik had just transferred to Crestwood High, a mostly suburban school where faces like his were rare. His mother called it a fresh start, a place with better teachers, better opportunities, and a chance to finally get noticed for his grades, not his neighborhood. But from the first week, Malik could feel the difference in the air. It wasn't loud or obvious, it was quiet, like an unspoken rule everyone else already knew. In class, when he raised his hand, teachers called on him last. When group projects formed, desks filled up before he could sit down. Even the smallest things, a turn back, a forced smile, a joke that wasn't meant to be funny, started to weigh on him. Still, Malik tried to stay focused. His mother worked 2 jobs just to get him here. Every night she reminded him, "Keep your head high, you're meant for more." So he joined the debate team, hoping his voice might finally be heard. It was there he met Ethan, the team captain, confident and well-liked, with an easy smile that could turn into a smirk in an instant. At first, Ethan seemed welcoming, even helpful, but beneath the friendly tone and polished words, Malik started to sense something else, something colder. Then came the day the team was told they'd represent the school in a statewide competition, a chance for Malik to finally prove himself. But as the spotlight grew closer, so did the cracks in Ethan's charm. Malik didn't know it yet, but the competition wouldn't just test his skill. It would test how much silence he could stand before breaking it. 1-2. In the weeks leading up to the state debate, Malik poured himself into preparation. He spent late nights practicing arguments in front of his cracked mirror, his reflection becoming both coach and critic. His topics were sharp: racial profiling, educational inequality, systemic bias, issues that cut close to his own life. He knew them not from research alone, but from memory. At school, though, the energy felt different. Ethan and the rest of the team practiced together, laughing in tight circles that somehow always left Malik at the edge. When he spoke up with ideas, they were too emotional. When he offered data, it was off-topic. Ethan would smile politely, then pivot the group toward another suggestion, as if Malik's voice didn't count. During one session, the teacher supervising the team gave Ethan quiet praise. "You've really elevated the team this year," she said, eyes flicking briefly toward Malik. He caught the look, a mixture of hesitation and approval, and knew exactly what it meant. Ethan was the leader, Malik was the token. The whispers spread fast. He only got in because they needed diversity. He's too aggressive when he argues. He doesn't fit the team vibe. The words were never said to his face, but he heard them anyway, in the pauses, in the glances, in the forced politeness that always followed him down the hall. One afternoon, Malik stayed late after practice to finish some notes. When he returned to his bag, he found it unzipped. His notebook, the one filled with weeks of research, was gone. He searched the room, the hallway, the trash bins. Nothing. The next morning, Ethan casually held up a few of Malik's pages during practice. "Found these lying around," he said, smirking. The others laughed softly, not sure whether it was a joke or a warning. Malik's stomach tightened, but he said nothing. He had seen how quickly things turned when he defended himself. Too defensive, too sensitive, too much. So he swallowed it all and kept preparing. But the silence was starting to feel heavier than the words themselves. A few days before the competition, the team received their final topics. Malik's section, ironically, was on implicit bias. The irony wasn't lost on him. He watched Ethan skim the topic with a grin. "Guess you've got some experience with that one," Ethan said lightly. The others chuckled, and the moment passed, at least for them. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. His mind replayed every microsecond of the past month, every smirk, every stolen credit, every quiet act of erasure. His mother's voice echoed in his head, "Keep your head high." But as the competition drew near, Malik began to wonder how high one could hold their head when everyone around was trying to make them bow. Map. The auditorium buzzed with tension as the debate began. Rows of polished trophies glimmered under bright lights, a silent reminder of who usually won here. Malik stood at the podium, heart pounding, palms slick. Across the stage, Ethan smiled that same familiar, polished smile. When Malik's turn came, his voice was steady at first, methodical, practiced. But as he spoke about implicit bias, his words started to sharpen, to burn. He saw faces shifting in the crowd, teachers glancing uncomfortably, students whispering. For once, he didn't hold back.
He spoke not just as a debater, but as someone tired of being proof of diversity without ever being treated as equal.
When he finished, there was a long, heavy silence. Then Ethan stood up for his rebuttal, and used Malik's stolen notes, word for word. Malik froze. The same sentences, the same statistics he had written by hand. The judges nodded approvingly. Applause followed. Ethan smiled again. Something inside Malik cracked. He stepped forward, voice trembling but fierce.
"Those are my words," he said quietly. "You stole them." Gasps rippled through the audience. Ethan's grin faltered. For the first time, Malik didn't shrink. He stood there, unshaken, eyes locked on everyone who had chosen silence. In that moment, the truth wasn't just heard, it demanded to be seen. Way. The silence that followed Malik's words was different this time. Thick, undeniable. The judges exchanged uncertain glances. Ethan stammered, his polished tone collapsing into fragments. The teacher tried to step in, but the moment had already shifted. The audience wasn't looking at Ethan anymore. They were looking at Malik. He didn't need to say anything else. The truth hung there, raw and unfiltered. The judges disqualified the team for misconduct, and the headlines came quickly. Student exposes racism in debate finals. But for Malik, it wasn't victory. It was release. Days later, as he walked through the same hallway that once swallowed his confidence, heads didn't turn away anymore. Some offered quiet nods. Others still looked uneasy. Yet Malik didn't need their approval. He had found something stronger, his voice. At home, his mother read the article with trembling hands, eyes shining with pride. "You didn't just speak," she whispered. "You made them listen." Malik knew the world wouldn't change overnight. But maybe, somewhere, a teacher would pause before overlooking another student. A teammate might think twice before mocking a name. And maybe a hallway somewhere would finally feel a little warmer. Because silence protects the comfortable, but truth, spoken aloud, protects the next generation.